Hey guys, it's Jill. It's Tuesday, October 22nd, and I just wanted to come on and talk about life, I guess, because a lot of things are again shifting and changing. We're getting closer to election time, right? And that is causing some energetic shifts, and there's a lot of things moving weather-wise and in the news. And in our schools, we have impending lockdown drills. So both of my kids' schools have sent out alerts this week that they are going to be hosting a lockdown drill, going to be unexpected. So I'm assuming Wednesday or Thursday. Right. So last night was the Orionid meteor shower, and about 7:30 something told me go outside, look at the sky. And I can't just go outside and look at the sky because we live in the city. So I asked my kids, I said, you guys want to get some treats and go for a ride? And they were like, heck yeah. So we stopped at the gas station and we got in the car, and we actually ended up going all the way to Ithaca. And we sat on the shore of Cayuga Lake and we stared at the sky. And there's some debate on what we saw and didn't see, but everyone has their own individual experience, right? And that's the great thing about looking at nature or at the stars, is that everyone's always seeing something different, right? And everything that we experience is always experienced through our own lens. So no one is living the same moment ever, okay? And I think that's important to remember. My kids brought up some behaviors that they've been seeing at school, some things that are moving around them. One of my daughter's young friends had a full-blown panic attack, anxiety attack the other day, and my daughter was pretty concerned because this is the third friend in the last year, all young, all female, who have had this experience where, their heart rate goes up and they're perspiring and they feel that tenseness or intensity in their chest, and they don't really have a firm grasp on reality for a few minutes, and it frightens them. And energetically, as we're being compressed as a society, this is going to start becoming more common. So we have to start teaching kids ways to self-regulate. We have to start looking at the ways in which we respond to them and their concerns, because if we're not doing those things, then they exacerbate, right? Then they're holding on to things and emotions that maybe they don't need to as kids, and then they come through as these attacks where they lose control. I'm debating on whether or not we should be, talking about not just ways to combat those things, but where are we finding resources for those things. And maybe that's something I'm being called to do, is to start producing them. But I don't know. Does anybody watch my YouTube videos? I don't know. As parents, there's a lot of things I think that we don't know. And that's all of us collectively. Like, I don't know everything about being a parent. And I know that it's a lot harder if you didn't have positive examples of parents, or you didn't have a lot of firm pillars in your upbringing. If grandparents were falling off and parents were falling off, and you didn't have teachers that could stand their ground, then where are kids finding positive role models? And that was something else that came up last night, was that teachers are going hooray for our side and maybe wearing Trump t-shirts to school, and I'm not here for that. I'm really not. I don't think that it's any educator's job to teach a child what to think. We're supposed to be teaching them how to think critically, how to understand who they are and what they believe in and what they stand for. So political agendas in the classroom just has me mind boggled, but most of the society has me mind boggled right now. The quickest way to reset yourself is your breath, right? The breath is a tool that we carry with us. It's responsible for regulating every system in our body. So when we take a big breath in and we breathe it down, we're actually releasing not just, carbon dioxide, and we're not just expelling energy, we're expelling thoughts, we're expelling negatively charged particles and ions, things that we don't want within our body. So if we can teach kids that taking deep breaths can help them to focus and to center, if we can teach them when to suspend the breath, like breathing in and holding that breath, and maybe repeating a mantra like, I am calm, I am safe, I am happy, then we can teach them to self-regulate or to self-soothe when they seem like maybe I'm coming into a place where I'm going to lose control, or I don't feel safe, or I feel like things are getting away from me. In Kidding Around Yoga, they teach kids finger kisses, and you can use one hand or both, but it's a positive affirmation that says peace begins with me, and you touch every finger. Peace begins with me, and we say it out loud 3 times. And you can do it at varying levels. You can shout if you need to really expel some energy. You can say it quietly if you're in like the car or you need to be in a quiet environment. And then what happens when you repeat a mantra or a positive affirmation is that it impresses upon the subconscious, and then it becomes a natural thought pattern, right? So if we can teach kids to keep repeating these things, what we're actually doing is training them not only to be calm and to self-regulate, but to naturally go there, right? So that they return to it again and again. There's a lot of ways to be mindful, and unfortunately in our society we haven't been taught those things, and we've gotten really far away from not only morals and ethics and boundaries, but like common sense. And I see it more and more, and the more that we're compressed by the chaos energy of all of the things moving around us, and the political agendas and the weather and the lockdown drills, the more we lose sight of those things that should be bound to us, right? So lately there's just so many things that I want to speak on, and I haven't been, and my apologies for that, because I've been in my own compression lately. A lot of things moving, changing, a lot of things that blindsided me. So one of them is the sugars. The sugar holidays are coming, and for kids who already have trouble self-regulating, kids who already suffer with being on the autism spectrum, kids who suffer with mental health, depression especially, sugar is detrimental to everything that they do, and not just that, but it's a lot, guys. It's so much. But health-wise, there's nutritional deficits in the sugar, right? Their teeth, juvenile diabetes, type 2 diabetes. How old are you, and what are you eating? And our diet in American society is just really everything is sugar. The McDonald's hamburger buns are sugar. The potatoes that they're using for French fries are now sugar. Like, everything is just sugar. So with Halloween coming up, we're going to have a lot of kids who have access to copious amounts of sugar, and with that we will see behavior changes. Colored dyes can create behavior changes, and I've seen that in kids. Feed your kid a glass of Hawaiian Punch someday, and for the next 3 hours, watch their behaviors and their mental state. Watch their reactions when they're doing things and maybe things don't work out. Sometimes I say these things and people get mad. I posted about this the other day, but there's a lot of truth in it, and we're not taught those things. after Halloween, we're going to move into Thanksgiving, where we gorge ourselves on food, right? If we're lucky enough to be able to do that. And then we're going to move into Christmas. And one thing that I see a lot at Christmas, and this is societal, and I'm going to put it out there, that we tend to do a lot of sugar and sweets at Christmas, and a lot of kids' stockings get stuffed with sugar at Christmas because it's easy and it's accessible. SNAP benefits cover sugar, right? Candies from the grocery store. So it's easier to stuff kids' stockings with candy and sugar than it is to stuff them with novelty items. And that's a hard truth. Hi, Ladybug. See that? From there, we go into February. How do we celebrate Valentine's Day? Candy, 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 right? And when we stop feeding our kids sugar, just like those addictions, there's a withdrawal period, and there is a shift in behaviors. And what happens right around that March, April time is all the state testing for the schools, right? It's a cyclical problem when we're creating addicts, and it's unfortunate. But as a collective society, we have really normalized this. I see moms all the time putting red food dyes and carbonated drinks. Soda is awful. And it's awful for adults, but it's horrible for little kids. And I've seen it in baby bottles. And that comes with different levels of consciousness. It comes with different levels of affluence. Knowledge isn't something that's hard to obtain, but it's something that needs to be sought, right? And so people who live in survival mode, people who don't have a lot of access, oftentimes don't have the capacity to take in knowledge. And I talk about this with teacher friends a lot, because there are so many kids who go to school who aren't there to learn. They're there because it's warm. They're there because it's safe. They're there because there's food there. By the next year, they don't have a clue half of the things that other kids who came able to learn have learned. And we have such a divide because learning is so individualized, but public school really isn't. And even if we're handing out 504s and IEPs, there's no way that you can have classrooms of 20, 30 students and give those kids the individualized attention that they deserve. And I really think that that's why we need to be teaching mindfulness in the classroom. I think it's why we need to be teaching adults to self-regulate. It's why we need truths about nutrition. And that's a hard thing exponentially, because a lot of the stuff that we're getting is just garbage. Twice this summer, I was given decades-old vine-grown tomatoes. Okay, so these are tomatoes that grew on wild vines in backyards with families that have been here generationally, and they tasted like dirt, like the earth, like phytonutrients from the sun, right? And I cried. I literally wept as I ate them, because this is what food is supposed to taste like. And the things that we're getting in the grocery store are not that anymore. Especially when we're getting things that are grown hydroponically, because it's really all just salts. I haven't had a cucumber that tasted like a cucumber in years, and it is devastating. But we're not taught to grow our own food. It has taken 2 decades for us to forget how to can things, how to hang our laundry outside. There's so many things that technology has taken from us and that we have learned to take for granted. And those are skills that we're not passing on to our kids. They're not baking, they're not cooking, they're not, being 23 and not able to boil rice is not okay. Not being able to bake chocolate chip cookies, not okay. And I see some places that are trying to bring that to fruition. But again, unless it's small groups, it's not happening. Mixing up box cake mixes is not making a cake from scratch. It's not measurements and adding the love. There's a lot of things that we're missing that we've traded for convenience. And we do that, again, cyclical problems because of the money, right? Baking a cake from scratch with a whole group of kids is time consuming. And then we have to pay people to be there and we have to buy all the ingredients. But buying a box mix and measuring some oil, it's just easier. And that's a hard thing. It's why I became such an advocate of homeschool co-ops outside of public education, because it was smaller bite-sized groups and you could actually teach kids things. You could take the time to be individualized with them if you had to be. It's easier to manage other kids' behaviors in smaller bites. We used to have a massive amount of elementary schools, and they used to be community-based, right? They were smaller schools. They were closer to home. Parents were involved and invited into the schools, and that is a huge thing. I've been looking at the volunteer lists at the district parent meetings and the district board meetings, and this year there's a big discrepancy in a couple of schools where there's no volunteers versus where there's a lot of volunteers, and versus who's let into the school and who is not. But there are also times when parents are not allowed into the school, and that is a societal shift also. As we move into things like lockdown drills and forcing the parents out, we've relinquished a lot of parental accountability to education. Programs like Early Head Start and 2 and 3 PK. Yes, there are kids who need that, but there are more kids who need to be home with parents who have the patience and the understanding to teach colors, shapes, numbers. And again, some of that is learned behaviors, but some of it is really just taking the time or having the time and ability to be a parent. We have to slow down. In every aspect of society, we need to slow down, because the convenience and the technology are robbing us of our humanity. Kids shouldn't be going to school and having panic attacks. They shouldn't be talking about the things that they're talking about. The number of snaps that I have seen involving sex and drugs from 11 years old and up is devastating. And it's not just devastating, it's disgusting. And I know that I'm all over the map here, you guys, but like, holy cow. I have said this before, I don't even know where to ask for help anymore, because so many people are so far removed from how collectively insane we have become in every realm, in our food, in our education, in our morals, in our boundaries. It's just gone. And I don't even think that religion is something that can shift that anymore. I think denominations are dead. I think that we have to come into some kind of collective consciousness that we need to live in harmony, and we need to find balance and peace, and we need to come back to the earth, because this is too much. Right now, everything is too much. Everywhere I look, it's like people are cutting corners. And why are we cutting corners? Well, because we're all in survival mode. I don't know too many adults right now, and even wealthier people, right? People in different classes of society that are not feeling a crunch right now, that are not feeling under pressure or duress. And that's not how we're meant to live. But it is a societal game, and it is intentional. It is part of this 2030 agenda. And we are 5 years down this road into this reset. We're really living in dystopian times. I don't know if you've been to the doctor's office lately, if you've been to the dentist's office lately, if you've even been to a grocery store lately. Are you noticing shifts in the way that we handle ourselves and our transactions? I checked in today at the dentist on a kiosk. And then I kind of giggled because I looked at the girl at the desk and I said, "Is this saving me any time?" And she goes, "No." I said, "Does it make your job easier?" She said, "No." And as soon as I was done and I clicked next, it told me to go see her anyway. And she goes, "Yeah, exactly." Friends, all of it is atrocious right now. And it's going to take all of us to stand up and fix it. If you are voting, and please know what you're voting for. Stand for something. Know where you stand on specific issues. Education, parental rights, birth choice, birth justice, equity. Know who you are. Because it's time. And if you're voting locally in this family court judge election, that's a 10-year appointment. If you have kids, if you have friends with kids, if you plan on getting divorced, if you have rocky situations with a counterpart that you parent with, know what you're voting for. 10 years is a long time. Long time. Alright, it's been 20 minutes. I'm going to be quiet. It's just some thoughts today. I was grateful last night for the conversations with my kids because those conversations open up doorways for them. And it opens up neural pathways. And it opens them up to being content in who they are and the things that they believe in and how they perceive their reality. So talk to your kids, please. And if you need some subjects to talk about, I just covered a few. So if you would like information on ways to be more mindful in your everyday or your kids' everyday, or if you would like to just chat and get some things off of your chest, I am definitely here for that. Know that we are all feeling the compression. Know that we're all grieving something, and you are definitely not alone. All right, I love you guys, and I'll talk to you later.